Hello, everybody. Welcome to our session, Take Action, Own Your GA4 Account. A quick intro to myself. My name is Elijah Tao. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing here at Force Marketing. I started dabbling in digital around 2009 and then joined the automotive space in 2013. Since then, I've had the luxury of working on the client side and the agency side, so I'm well-versed with the obstacles each side brings. So with that, let's get into some of the best practices and stuff like that we recommend for GA4. So if you don't know what's happening, Universal Analytics is going to stop processing data on July 1st. You will not see your data migrate from Universal Analytics to GA4. So the best scenario for you right now is if you have Universal Analytics tracking and you have GA4 tracking simultaneously. After July 1st, Google's not going to immediately delete everything, so you don't have to worry about that. But since the data has stopped collecting, Google's going to give about a 6-month window, maybe more, where you can take that opportunity where I would recommend to download any data from Universal Analytics. So that way, when Google does make that data disappear, you at least have something to go back and refer to. From that point on, Universal Analytics is out and GA4 is the new standard. So what's our stance on the whole situation? We believe you got to own your own data. Obviously, it's your own data, so you got to take it with you. If you're going to switch parties or vendors or whatever the case might be, you want to be able to take that data with you so that you always have one point of consistency as you try to look at data that will help you grow your business. It'll also level out the playing field, because if everybody's reading off the same sheet of music versus a bunch of other different reports, it'll make things a little more easy to process and strategize. It'll also help you familiarize yourself with your analytics data. If you're always looking at it and you're taking it with you and you own it, you'll be able to understand all the trends related to your data, any fluctuations and those kinds of things. And because you understand those things, everybody can grow together. So when you are training a new team member or you're collaborating with a new party or something like that, you're able to give them context that'll help them expedite any insights or strategies. So since we're all trying to grow together, I'm going to show some differences between Universal Analytics and GA4. One is the way data is collected. So Universal Analytics is session-based, where it focuses a lot on page views and sessions. GA4 is event-based, so it's going to give you a more comprehensive look at user behavior. So you're going to be able to see things like clicks, first visits, form fills, form starts, scrolling, they download files, that kind of stuff. And the beautiful thing is a lot of these events are built into GA4 by default. So note, even though it's built into GA4 by default, you won't actually see those events populate in your GA4 account until the events actually happen. Another difference is cookies. Universal Analytics relies heavily on cookies, whereas GA4 is designed to work with or without cookies. So it can fill in any missing data gaps utilizing machine learning and statistical modeling. So this is going to be important as we move into a future world where cookies is less relied on, especially since there's a lot of discussion and privacy concerns around cookies in general. Another thing that's different is the hierarchy. So in Universal Analytics, you will be familiar, or you should be familiar with the account level, property level, and view level. When you look in GA4, you're going to notice there's no more view level. There's just the account level and then the property level, and then we have data streams. So data streams and views are going to be similar in that they both allow you to that's where you're looking at your actual data. However, Google's recommended to not treat data streams like you would views. They say that it could result in false traffic or / inflated traffic because users, the data may not be deduped properly. So some people might be asking, all right, if it's not recommended to make filters, views as a way of filtering data and such like that, what should we do? So our recommendation is to duplicate existing views, or sorry, not views, but reports inside of GA4. For example, if I'm in reports here and I go to this report, traffic acquisition, and I want to duplicate that to have a filtered version of that particular report, you can go to the pencil icon here. Once you click it, you will have the ability to add filters to that particular report. When you do that, for example, I can only include people who are from the US, and then save this report as a new report. That way I don't have to overwrite the original one, and then you can have two versions, one with global traffic and one with only US traffic and stuff like that. So that's an alternative you can do in place of creating different views and stuff like that. Another difference are goals. So in Google Analytics, Universal Analytics, you can create up to 20 goals per view. In GA4, you can create up to 30 conversions per property. So when you toggle a event on and off inside of GA4, that's how you market that you want to see it as a conversion, as far as like what your campaigns, stuff like that are optimizing for. All right, if you do not have an analytics account yet, first thing we would like you to do is confirm that you actually don't have one, because Google Analytics is creating them for you potentially. If you can confirm that Google didn't create one automatically for you, then that's when you can go in your Universal Analytics account. In the settings portion, you will see something called GA4 Setup Assistant. When you click into that, you're going to see the ability to get started. Then you're also going to see the button to create a property. When this pops up, you're going to see this little part right here to enable data collection using an existing tag. If you check the box, you're basically telling Google like, hey, I want to use an existing tag instead of creating a new one for data collection for GA4, which is fine. But I'll get into detail of why that may or may not work for you later on. So if you check the box, you will see this screen here. This can kind of serve as a checklist of other things you can look at to make sure it's set up the way you want it. In real time, you should be able to start seeing traffic about 30 to 60 minutes on that real-time report, if everything is set up correctly and working. So this is what I was getting at earlier. Even though you check that box to use an existing tag for tracking, it may not always work. It just depends on how the original tag was actually applied to your website. So in that case, you might still have to manually tag your website anyways. In that situation, what you can do is from your GA4 account, you can go to settings, go to data streams, click on the actual data stream itself, and then scroll to the bottom of the next view, and you'll see the ability to view your tag. You can download the code and give it to your web developer, and then they can install the code from there for you. All right, if you don't check the box, it's still going to give you the option to use a Google tag you already have anyways, but most people are going to probably choose to install a Google tag manually. From there, the steps is going to be similar to what I was just describing earlier. You're going to see a section where it's going to allow you to copy the code. When you copy this code, give it to your developer. This code needs to be applied on every single page of the website in the head section. If you apply it via GTM, just know that you shouldn't apply it via a custom HTML tag. There's a pre-configured tag already that's specifically meant for GA4, and you should be using that if you decide to go the GTM route. If you already have a GA4, one thing you should do is make sure it's actually tracking. I've seen a lot of people share their GA4 accounts with us, and then it's not even tracking any data. So having the property exist isn't enough. Make sure it's actually tracking data. Also try to avoid duplicates. So remember when I was saying that Google Analytics might create a GA4 account for you, there's a toggle button when you go to your Universal Analytics at the property level. You can turn that off so that way Google doesn't automatically do that for you. Any goals that you might have had, make sure that there's an equivalent conversion in it in GA4, so that way you're still tracking the things that matter to you. Also sync any additional products that you might have had synced before. So Google Ads, Google Search Console, Merchant Center, that kind of stuff. You can sync that to your GA4 property, and then review any custom settings that you might have had. So if you had any particular settings for data collection, retention, or custom groupings, those kind of things, review your GA4 account so that way the settings that matter to you are applied. And with that, hopefully you got a little bit out of this, but at the end of the day, if you've taken away anything, just make sure you own your GA4 data and take it with you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.